Time for another board recap podcast. Dr. Smith, how are you today?
Very good. As I commented last night, it's difficult to believe that next week are our high school commencements, but it's been a great year, but it has been very, very quick.
Really has a lot of excitement building in schools right now. Boy, you have to think of seniors this time of the year because, as you said, next week we're going to have commencements on Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday night. I think 8 of them total. And
Yeah,
boy, it's going to be exciting to wish those students well, celebrate them, and wish them well for their future.
we certainly will. I've been in 3 schools so far today. There's excitement in all of our
See,
schools.
that's good. You felt that excitement as
Yeah.
the year is coming to an end. That's fantastic. Well, let's start with good news, if you will, from last night at our board meeting. And we started by talking about EVSC signing day. This took place recently. And boy, you talk about just an exciting event. This has grown by leaps and bounds over the last several years. We had 170 students and 70 businesses there signing these students. And as you say time and again, Dr. Smith, this is not us being a job placement agency. This is connecting kids with employers who are investing in them for a successful future. It's amazing.
That's right. We are a development company and we are an opportunity company.
Absolutely. And it's just great to see the excitement, enthusiasm, parents there, and the businesses too. I mean, you can see they are very excited for the students they're going to be working with. Next thing we celebrated last night or lifted was the Ivy Tech Entrepreneurship Expo. Congratulations to Sophia Hape. She is a senior at Wrights High School, and she was recognized and finished first in that and actually won $3,000. So good for her, and best wishes to her in her future. One of our principals, Casey Soderling, she is the principal at Perry Heights Middle School. She was named our region, our district, District 11's Middle School Principal of the Year by the Indiana Association of School Principals, and this puts her in the running for the State Middle School Principal of the Year that will be announced in the fall. But always love seeing our employees recognized like that.
Absolutely.
And then also last night, we talked about, Academy for Science and Medicine, formerly MPA, Medical Professions Academy. They have great partnership with USI and scholarships that are a part of that. And we showed a picture that had actually had 8 of our ASM graduates. And they're going to be walking away with $48,000 in scholarship money from USI. So great to see that. What a great way to start their college experience.
Congratulations to them.
Yes, well deserved. And then last but not least, this is something I know you've attended this many times over the years. Helfrich Park STEM Academy of Middle School has a great partnership with Berry Global, a fantastic company that has its headquarters here. And they have a partnership. The end of the year, they come together and their students do STEM project presentations, and the students are all dressed up, and boy, do they know their stuff, so to speak. And I know Barry's extremely excited about this partnership as well, but what a great learning opportunity for these young middle school students.
That's right. Take a real problem that Barry presents them, and then they come up with solutions on how they can make that situation better.
Yeah, that is fantastic. Boy, are we fortunate to have partnerships like that and,
Yep.
and great experience for those students. So that wraps up good news. Dr. Smith, if you would, take us through consent items.
Certainly will. So item 3.02, consideration of the allowance of payments. This time it was $10,322,832.98, which is pretty typical for this year. It was one paycheck for our employees, as well as I think contract bus driver payment. But other than that, pretty typical. Item 3.03, consideration to approve the renewal agreement with Vector Solutions for Safe Schools. So Safe Schools from Vector, we've had a long-standing partnership with them. They house all the videos that our employees either are required to watch through state law or through other means. So they track that for us. So we get a listing of who has watched and who hasn't yet. So we appreciate what they do for us. And then a companion piece to that, item 3.04, which was the consideration to approve the renewal agreement with Vector Solutions for their Teach Point solution. That is actually a professional growth tracking solution. So when our teachers have to renew their license, if everything's been put in Teach Point, then it basically just I'm going to say this kind of a crude way, but it kind of spits it out so that then they can get their license renewed in a pretty painless
A
fashion.
little more high tech than when you and I started. We had the yellow booklets and you actually cut the
Just
coupons
a
out of
little
the
bit
back
more.
and sent them in. So great to celebrate technology.
Yes. Moving on then in consent, item 3.05, consideration to approve the change order number 2 for the Bossy Field third base concession renovation project of 2024. So in this change order, the vast majority of it went to sealing some of the expansion joints that had widened, and we had the storm. I think everybody remembers back on April, I think the 2nd.
I believe so, yes.
And because of that, there was some there was some water that actually went through those expansion joints and then went into the new kitchen area. Fortunately, it was able to be cleaned up and there was no damage, but we did put in or approved a change order that would grind those expansion joints, seal them, and then caulk them so that would not happen again.
Because as you say, every time this comes up on board agenda, we do own a historic ballpark in Bossy Field, which is kind of unique.
Yes, we do. Item 3.06, consideration to approve the resolution to increase the dollar value of extracurricular inventory levels. So this basically brings in our practice and our policy in line with not only the state board, but specifically we had a $500 amount for any time schools purchase items with their extracurricular monies of $500 or more that required board approval. When we look at our asset tagging guidelines, that was a $5,000 limit aligned to the State Board of Accounts. So we just asked the board to consider passing that resolution, which they did, to increase that dollar amount. So it was the same, which I think makes for a more streamlined process.
Yes, most definitely.
And actually, an analysis that we've done over the last 2 years, there were not many items that were in between that
That is
threshold.
true. It
So
was really the time had come to raise that limit.
really just made sense. Item 3.07, consideration to declare Oak Hill Elementary School portable modular unit as surplus property. And I think if you heard that loud cheer on the north side, that was the faculty, staff at Oak Hill saying, yay, because they
It has
would like
served
to have
its
that
time.
removed. It certainly has. And public really doesn't see it from the street, but
Sure.
on the back side of the building, we haven't used it for about 4 years, and it's really just time for us to move it off that property. Item 3.08, consideration to approve the procurement for food services for K-12's leading Indiana co-op, which is Click. And this basically just provides the authority for our food service then to order off of those bid lists.
Okay, and then that takes us to consideration of personnel recommendations.
Yes, so those are there, as we say, for your perusal, and I would invite members of the public to click on the document to see the changes and movement that we've had in our
And I do have
personnel.
to say this, Dr. Smith, we've said this before. Every time in May when we typically have what we had last night, the listing of retirements, it's actually a much smaller group this year than we've had for a while. But I always look at that and I think, my goodness, that is just people who were dedicated to serving students and families for many, many, many years in cases. And we just wish them the best and thank them for their service because they have been vital members of their individual school communities for a long time.
Well said. And as I look at this list, I believe of 17 individuals, and you're right. I cannot recall a time when we've had that few
Right.
in terms of retirements. But boy, I look at the names and I know so many of these people so incredibly well. Um, a lot of folks that have dedicated their life to
Sure.
public service, and we owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
Yes.
But great people.
And in many cases, if they've been in a building long enough, they've gone through every child in the family. You know, if they had multiple
Right.
children, sometimes even maybe had an older relative, even a parent. So, I mean, it really is a special time, and we do wish them the best.
Yes, certainly do.
That takes us to then action items from last night.
Okay. So all of the action items were previously listed in board agenda 2 weeks ago as an information item. So now action item 5.01, consideration to award the contract for the Harrison High School brick and coping repair project of 2024. So this will complete us going around the exterior of Harrison High School and making those repairs to the brick and to the coping. So we are pleased that that will bring all of that to conclusion. Item 5.02, consideration to award the contract for Wright's High Security Camera Upgrades project of 2024. So they will be getting new security system installed. And 5.03, consideration to approve the agreement with Kinnem. This is the agency that's going to, after we approve their actions, will then help us with unpaid debt. Because as you know, and as we've talked about in several board meetings, there has to be some process in place. The State Board of Accounts is certainly a stickler on that, and we do appreciate that, and we follow their guidelines. And as I said, when the next step in the process is taken, we do have to sign off on that. So that communication, I think, is very important because, as you know, we work very diligently with our families if they
Most
need
certainly, yeah, schools
payment
really
plans,
do
what
work
have
with
you.
families.
Yes. So I appreciate the board approving that. And then moving into the only information
Yeah, just
item
one
last
item.
night was consideration to approve updates to policy 6610, which are the extracurricular funds policies. And once again, this really um, made changes to grammatical components of the policy as well as bringing in the guidelines and the policies in terms of extracurricular spend and board approval all into alignment.
Okay, and then you kind of led off the beginning talking about what you mentioned in continued business last night, just the fact commencements are coming up. But I'm glad you're having the opportunity to fit it in your busy schedule to go out to schools because, a lot of great memories made in these last 2 weeks of every school year. We all remember things you do at the end of school, whether you're elementary, middle, or high school. Schools really do try to wrap things up and make it special. And we are at that point of the year, and there is a lot of excitement, and it's going to be a fun 2 weeks here.
It certainly will be. And as we're recording this on Tuesday after the board meeting, so it's Tuesday, May the 14th, a little bit of rain, but we hope that all that rain gets out of its system.
We
And then
really do.
next week it will be gorgeous weather.
Because it really is a special event when we can have those outdoor commencements in our stadiums. Just an opportunity really for a community-wide celebration. So looking forward to that.
Yes, we are.
That wraps up the board meeting. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, Dr.
Thank
Smith.
you. Take care.